Hello and welcome everyone. In our today's video, we're going to go through 5 points regarding windows. As for the first point, how exactly we can set the windows inside the walls in a way that we would get a specific form. Alright, let me elaborate on this. Guys, usually when we set the windows, when we try setting the windows inside the walls, like in a very normal way, we would get this very simple and rectangular form out of the whole thing. I mean, the opening would be this rectangular form. So now, having said this, guys, our goal here would be changing this simple form, simple rectangular form into a little bit more complex geometrical form. For instance, take a look at this image, guys. As you can see, instead of a simple rectangular form, we got a bit of curvature inside the opening. Or as another example, sometimes you would get some diagonal forms inside the openings, which is actually quite common. I'm sure you've seen this. Let me try to show this to you in plan as well. For example, as you can see here, the angle is quite straight up. I mean, the angle is 90 degrees. But let's say we want to get this kind of angle, this diagonal form. So question, how exactly we would be able to control the form of the openings that we want to work with? You know what, instead of just windows, this could actually be the main topic of our today's discussion. So, as I said, we'll be going through 5 points. We're going to begin with creating a complex window, and then we're going to complete our discussion. So, let's try creating a window family. For doing so, I'm going to use a window template. Open. Alright guys, surely you already know this, but window families have this base to them, talking about a wall which is quite visible when you enter their family template. And then within that wall, within that base, you would actually see an opening as well. And obviously this opening would be the place in which the window is going to be set. Now, the point to which we need to pay attention is the fact that this opening would only give us a simple rectangular form. So, as a result, guys, to create a more complex window, I mean a window with a more specific form rather than just a simple rectangular form, we simply shouldn't use this opening anymore. So, what should we do then? Well, it's quite simple. We need to use void. First, I'm going to pick a plane, this wall. Then, I'm going to set this void here. And we're going to talk about a point now. Let me just set this first, complete the void, and then we're going to go through a point. Alright guys, take a look at this warning. It says that a window family can't have both an opening and a cut, or an opening and a void within the same host at the same time. I mean, this is the opening and this is the void. We can't have these two simultaneously inside our host. Now, some people think that they can actually use the opening to get the main form for the window and then changing the form using void. Well, this simply won't work, guys. So before using the void, we should actually remove this opening that we got inside our host. Now, if I try setting the void again, it will work without any problem, guys, as you can see. Basically, guys, to put this simply, the void now plays the role of our opening. So up to this point, guys, we'll learn that for setting a window with a form other than a simple rectangular one, we should just use a void and we should remove this opening that we got inside the host by default. Alright, for the project on which I'm currently working, guys, let's say I want to set a window on this wall right here. First, I need to check the thickness that I have for this wall, which is 25 cm. So what I'm going to do would be going back to the template, select this, then open up type properties and try changing the thickness here to 25 cm. Oh, before that, let me actually specify my unit system. I'm going to go with millimeters. Now back here again and change the thickness to 250 millimeters or 25 cm. All right, done and done. Now, before removing the opening, guys, I'm actually going to set the void first because I want to be able to see the opening on which I'm going to set the window. Well, I mean, either this or we can actually enter one of these views and try using the reference planes that we got here for doing so. Well, for now, though, I'm just going to stick with the first way that I told you about. So first, I'll be setting my work plane on this wall here. Now, as for the form that I have in mind, guys, let's say, for example, I want to get two diagonal forms or like two curves on two sides of this window. Yeah, let's go with that. Or even all around the window. Why not? Yeah. By the way, I just mentioned two forms and I have two different techniques for them. More precisely, to set the form all around the window, we can use sweep, and to set this on only two sides, we can use extrusion. For example, take a look at this image. That's a reference image that we got here. As you can see, we only got the form on this side here. So you know what? Let's just actually try creating this. All right, back to plan. I'm going to select void extrusion and try setting the sketch that I want for my form here. It is quite simple, guys. I'm going to give this an angle like 45 degrees and try adding a curvature. See, guys, you just need to know how to use an item. The techniques and tricks are quite simple, honestly. All right, now after hitting finish, I can go back here, select this, and move it upwards. Now, remember, guys, we can't complete the cut here just yet, not unless we actually remove the opening that we had before. And also, guys, before cutting anything, first we actually need to lock this, with our reference planes. Why? Because I want to make sure that the window is going to work parametrically. Now, question, if I try changing the window's width, guys, what's going to happen to the void? Well, probably nothing. You know what? Let's test this out. For example, I'm going to change the width here to 1200 millimeters. What happened? Did it change? Yes, it actually changed. How about now? Changed again. And if you recall, I just said probably. How about the height? Give me 1400. Again, it changed accordingly. So now that everything is fine, we can apply the cut. Alright, guys, in our next step, we're actually going to create the window itself. And we actually have a point to discuss in there as well. So I'm just going to save this. With the name, let's go with WinCom, as in window complex. Let's load it in. First we need to make sure that it works. Yeah, everything is fine. Honestly, guys, this is extremely simple. Oh, and by the way, if the course was not to your liking, if it was reverse or something, you can easily flip this over. And well, I'm sure you already know this, guys. For doing so, you can use space. Awesome. We're done with our first point, guys. What was it again? We just learned how to create our openings based on the forms that we have in mind instead of a very simple and default rectangular forms. Oh, and guys, I just remembered something. We actually need to add an extra zone here to our form, to our opening, that we could use for the Windows frame. Well, to be honest, there's no problem with this. This is quite fine on its own, but I recommend doing this. So yeah, let's just try specifying a zone for the frame as well. Now, guys, this is actually optional. Sometimes you might need this. Sometimes you might go with an exterior frame. Either way, I guess this is better. Yeah, so let's just do this real quick and hit finish. Yeah, this part here, guys, would be for the frame. Oh, and a very important point, guys. We're trying to work parametrically. So after applying any modification, any change, any edit, try to make sure that the parameters are working properly. Alright, guys, so this was for our first point, which, as I said, I'm sure it would be quite handy during your works. And also, remember, we'll be completing this window further by going through our next points. During our next discussions and points. Right, everyone, the second point would be regarding subcategories, which are quite important when we're trying to create and complete a family, like a window. Alongside the window's frame, panels, and everything, we need to work on subcategories as well. You know what? Let's move on step by step. First and foremost, let's try creating the frame, and for doing so, I'm going to use sweep. Now, for using sweep, we always have two options. We can go with either sketch path or pick path. If we went with sketch path, we need to set a work plane, select a work plane first, and then try sketching the path that we want to work with on it. But when it comes to pick path, we don't really need to select a work plane. So I'm going to click on pick path then, and select these edges as for my path. Now finish and Back to plan. Guys, this would be the part of the zone that I'm considering for the frame. Now, we can either use a pre-made profile, select one from this list, or we can just click on Edit Profile and create one. So let me try to draw something here. I'm going to select this and move this to this point here. You know what, let's use a value here to do this a bit more precisely, like 8 cm, I guess we'll do. And also a specific width, like 5 cm. Finish. Alright, now let's check this. This will be our frame, guys. You know what, I guess we can actually set this a bit more outward. So, let's zoom in. Try selecting this. And change this to 10 cm instead. Yeah, better. Let's try giving this frame a material. So we can set a material for the frame from here, and we can also use associated family parameter in order to control the material in our project as well. Let's give this a name, frame. Create this type parameter. I would be able to control it in our project. Now remember guys, we can only control the material here, not for example the line weight, okay? I'm going to go back to the plan here and activate the thickness. Take a look at this. Guys, if we take a closer look at this whole thing, we would easily be able to detect the different line weights and thicknesses that we have here, alright? Can we control these? Yes, why not? Open up Object Styles. Then from Windows, I'm going to set the projection line weights on 3. Now, guys, one thing that we actually need to talk about here is the fact that the frame is working based on our Windows parameter. I don't really want this, though. I want it to work according to this frame mullion parameter, guys, instead. Why? Well, because I actually want to be able to apply different thicknesses. For example, for the glass that I'm about to add here, I want one thickness, and I want a different one for the frame. So guys, this is why we in fact need subcategories. Let me elaborate, it's quite simple. Take a look at this, guys. We can easily select an element or a part or something and then specify the exact subcategory. For example, frame mullion. Now we can easily and separately control the thickness or the line weight. Now, let me set something here representing the glass. I'm also going to lock this down. Right back to this view and specify the height. Oh, by the way, guys, take a look at this. Do not apply the locks like this. I mean, it might work, but at the same time, it might just not. I mean, there's a better way, a more correct one. You know, it's better to go with a separate reference plane for this. Let me just set this on 1100. As you can see, this time it actually worked, but well, it's better, as I said, it's better to go with a separate reference plane. To put this simply, when you're dealing with a separate object, set a separate reference plane. So what I'm going to do would be adding these two reference planes like this. Then set the dimension and lock it down. Honestly, this way is quite more professional. Alright, now when it comes to locking down this glass, do not lock it to the frame. You know what, let me just put it in this way, guys. Never lock one object to another. So, as I said, I'm going to lock the glass here to these reference planes. This is very professional. Alright, let's give the same material a glass material. And remember, guys, setting your materials from here from the material browser is correct. It's fine. There's no problem. But if you don't create your material parameter, you won't be able to control it in your projects. Okay, so just create this parameter and load this into the project. Also, guys, I haven't specified any subcategories. So as you can see, I don't have any control neither on the frame nor the glass. As I mentioned earlier, guys, by not doing this, by not specifying the subcategories, the whole thing would have worked based on, according to our Windows parameter, to our main item or object. And well, not only this is unprofessional, but also it's incorrect. So let's just specify the subcategories: frame mullion for this one, and then the glass. And now that I did this, I will have complete control on both the frame as well as the glass. So let's check this out now. Remember, guys, the glass should be quite thin. So as for the line weight, I'm going to go with 1. Oh, and while I'm at it, guys, not only am I able to control the line weight, but I'm also able to control its color. Let's see. For example, give me blue. Yeah. So overall, guys, this would be a very important and professional point that we need to consider. And basically, this will be the second point. Now, let's move on to the third point of our session, which will be regarding creating a catalog for our family. Let me explain myself. Basically, guys, when we're dealing with families, in this case, in our current case, a window, we might need to work with or create several sizes. For example, I'm testing different sizes here. Now, there are several methods for creating different sizes. For example, as for one way, we can click on New Type. Now, let's give this a name like 1200 by 1400. And remember, guys, this is just a name. We still need to specify the size separately here. Now, another type, same 1400 by 1400, and specify the size again. Now, by loading the family into our project, guys, these types would also be loaded in. Now, let's say we're working with a family with an element like a door, window, column, beam, whatever, and we got like 20 or 30 types of them. And then during the project, let's say we just need 2 of them. Question, should we go ahead and create all of these different types separately and then also load them all into our project? Well, you know what? Don't even try to answer this question. It was just a rhetorical one. It's not even logical if you think about it, honestly. So, what should we do? We should be able to do something to create some sort of a choice for ourselves. In other words, we should be able to choose the exact type of the window, let's say, that we want to work with when we are loading it in. And this would be the exact meaning of creating catalogs for families. All right, now let's see how we can do this whole thing, guys. Up here, we have files. Click on it. Then from export, click on family type. Now, as you can see, here we would be presented with this text file. I'm going to save this. Now, guys, this text file actually contains whatever, or actually, let's put it in this way, everything that this family that we just worked on contains. Like, for example, all the parameters. It's not difficult, guys. It's not complex. Just try to focus on it. For example, here we have the type's name, 1400 by 1400. Then here we got the first parameter. Then this would be the glass parameter. It says by category. Then next up we got the seal height or the OKB. And then here we got the height. Yeah, so basically, guys, everything about this family is specified here, as you can see. Now, point, guys, instead of going through this whole, well, you can say new type creation process repeatedly, you can just use the details, the items, the text that we have in this file here. You can just get a copy, and I'm actually going to try creating a couple of them. I'm going to paste this a couple of times. Now I'm going to change this to 1600. Then this one to 1800. All right. Specify the detail here as well. And then save everything. Now, guys, when you have a family and you create a catalog for it, try to set the both files next to each other and also try to use the same name for them. Now, back to Revit and open up a new file. Okay. And what I'm going to do would be loading the new family, new window that we created inside this newly opened project. Let's see what's gonna happen. As you can see, guys, we got an error. There's a problem with the catalog. Let's see what it is. What's this? Well, we don't really know. You know what? Let's just call this a happy mistake. Honestly, guys, mistakes like this are quite common. They just happen. So whenever you face such an error, check your text file and apply the required modifications on it. So let's save this again. Now let's try loading the window again. Alright, there's our catalog, guys. As you can see, here we got all the parameters and types that we created. And here we can select the exact type that we want to work with. Let's say this one. And the selected type would be the only one that will be loaded in to our project. Simple, yet extremely useful. So guys, up to this point, we discussed 3 points. Number 1, creating different forms for our openings. Number 2, what are subcategories and what we can do with them. And number 3, creating family catalogs. Now, there are 2 more important points that we yet to discuss in this session, guys. Alright, let's start discussing the 4th point now. Guys, when we enter a family into our project, like so, we would be able to control the finishings. As an example, we can flip them. Take a look at this. Select and open up type properties. Then from wrapping at inserts, we can go with the interior, exterior, or even both of the finishings. Question: how does it know which is which? Well, when we click on edit, here we would see the layers that we have. And as you can see, for some of the layers, the wrap is enabled. And well, these layers would in fact be the only ones that could be wrapped inside the project. And this is how the layer types are being specified. I'm talking about them being either interior or exterior. Now, as an example, I'm going to go back here, open up this list, and try wrapping both interior and exterior layers. Now, another question. Does it understand that we actually specified a particular form for the wall? Well, let's find out. See, guys? It actually did. So, yeah, this is simply brilliant. So, in fact, you are quite free to go with any kind of form that you want. However, this is not my main point here, guys. Take a look at the intersection point that we got for the finishing layers. It is at the, you can say at the middle point here. I don't want this. I want this to be at this point. How can we control this? Well, this in fact would be our 4th point of the session. What I'm going to do would be going back to this template and try setting a reference plane. Then I'm going to set a dimension on it up to the edge of the wall and define a parameter for it afterwards. Now remember, I actually set this up to the interior first. We can always go with the exterior one as well. Anywho, as I said, I'm going to select this and try defining a parameter for it. And this time, guys, I want the parameter to be an instance one. So I want to be able to control this family separately whenever I wanted to. And honestly, this is optional. You can go with type if you wanted to as well. Now for the name, give me wall inset. Now, let's try testing the parameter. As I said, this is actually important. We should always do this. Okay, so it works, no problem. Is that it? Well, no, there's a little bit of step left. Select the reference plane and enable wall closure. And that will be all, guys. Let's load this in now. Wait for it. Guys, now we would be able, basically we would be able to control the intersection point. For example, I'm going to select the window here and take a look at the value that we got for this. Currently, we got 0.08. Let me just change my unit system real quick again to millimeters. So I want to be able to control this more easily. Now, as I said, guys, I can easily control or actually specify any location that I want for the intersection point of my layers. For example, instead of 80, I'm going to go with 100. See, it moved. Now, let's say I want to set it at this point. Let me just check the dimension real quick. We got 170. So let's just set this on 170. All done. And that would be another important point that I'm sure would be extremely useful for you. Alright guys, I actually saved the best for the last. Let me begin with a question. The question that I want to ask you is that, do the windows know about the thickness of the walls in which they are actually set? Or better yet, do we even know this? And if not, is there a way to find out about this? Or even another element, like for example, I'm going to select this door. Is there a way to find out about the thickness of the wall in which this door is set? By the way, guys, remember, when we're dealing with families, the points, the rules are being applied on all of them. For example, regarding subcategories, when we were discussing subcategories, everything that we talked about regarding windows would also go for the doors, for example. Well, I mean, this is the fact for most of them. Like, for example, when it comes to wall closure, this actually goes only for doors and windows. And well, this whole thing about the thickness of walls is another thing that only goes for windows and doors. Anyway, let's talk about it now. If you recall, guys, I said that when we open up a window family, we would see a host wall. Now, you would be able to get some information regarding this wall here, such as its size and dimensions. How? Let's see. What I'm going to do would be moving the cursor on these edges and press tab. Here we go. This will be the thickness. Now we also need to give this a parameter. Now, a very important point, guys. As for your parameter type, you should definitely go with a shared parameter. Now, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to talk about the whole concept completely, so I'm just going to point it out real quick and move on. So take a look at this. I'm going to set this on instance. And then up here, I'm going to activate shared parameter. Then select. It says that no basis is being found for the shared parameter. Don't worry. I'm going to click on create here and try creating a base or a file for the shared parameter. Specify the name and OK. Now here we need to create a group. Let's call this Windows. Then we need to give the parameter name here. Type length, the name wall thickness. Okay. Again, guys, don't forget to activate instance here, and also it should be a reporting parameter as well. Because as I said, you're just trying to get the information here. You're not trying to change anything. All right. So basically, this is done. Let's load this into the project. Now, let's go back here. If we select this, we can find out about the thickness of the wall. See? To be honest, guys, this is an extremely useful technique that we have when we want to create schedules. You know what? Let me try this as well. Give me windows. And then also here, give me wall thickness as well. Honestly, guys, this is a technique, this is a point that most users don't really know about. All right, let me try to create the schedule here. There's actually a point that we need to talk about. Take a look at this, guys. We got nothing for the wall thickness. Why is that? I mean, the only wall thickness that we have is for the family that we've been working on. Well, because the other families don't have this parameter. So we need to do this for the others. As an example, I guess this family is being used a lot. Let's go with this, yeah. Let me see which family is this. I'm sure you already know this, guys. We can select the families directly from the schedules. Anyway, it is this one. So edit family. And we pretty much need to do the same for this family as well. So DI, specify the thickness. Now select. Remember, guys, when I say we need to do the same, I don't mean the entire process completely, because we are dealing with a shared parameter. So the only thing that we need to do would be selecting the same source file that we created before. I mean, we only need to create the source files from the scratch when we don't have them. That's it. Well, fortunately, we don't need to do that here. Instance and reporting. Done. The only thing that we need to do would be loading this in. All right, now let's go ahead and try checking our schedule again, guys. Basically, what's going to happen is that, as you can see, the wall thickness for all of these families would be specified. Now let's just go through one last test real quick. I'm going to change a different type of wall here. Up to this point, everything was on 25. Let's go with another one, a less thickness. All right, checking the schedule again. See, different results. And this would be the end of our 5th point. All right, everyone, that will be all for today's session. Hope you all enjoyed everything. Don't forget to practice. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.